Hey folks, how's it going? I've grinded quite a bit last event trying to 20-box it, and I think I went the wrong way about it. I still managed, but I kind of burned myself out with it. So this time around I want to see if I can find an easier way to go about it by comparing the amount of tokens that you get from each of the 3 difficulties and see how many clicks it takes to get there. Cause, you know, carpal tunnel syndrome is a real thing that should not be taken lightly. So, in order to complete the event we're going to need 40,500 tokens. Let's see how many each raid gives. We're starting of course with the very hard. Also keep in mind that my ping is about 275 milliseconds, so things might be going a bit more slowly for me than they go for most people out there. Summon-wise, Bonito is not always available, but even when it isn't, there's the Huanglong right there. For the very hard, it's more than enough. Since this is a repeatable raid, I'm going to calculate the time it takes to run it from summon selection to summon selection, and it would seem that that time goes between 27 and 29 seconds, so I'm going to list 28 as an average. This one though comes with the materials required to host the Extreme and Impossible though, so you will still be required to run it. On the bright side, it's only 10 clicks for 23 tokens. Alright, let's go check the Extreme. Difficulty wise it shouldn't be that much harder. Should still be easily able to OTK it even with a Magna grid with no pluses. If only I could find a Bonito. When did they go extinct? Oh well, let's try with Huanglong again. Oh yeah, and this is the first time I don't cut the loading times. Real fun playing from Europe. With Huanglong I'm probably going to need this other extra button. I'm really not sure, probably going to try without later, but I don't have high hopes for it. Just like before, I've brought the video in Premiere and I've cut it to match the moment that I click on the first Extreme button. The time seems to go between 31 to 32 seconds and spiking up around 40 seconds when the nightmare pops up. It looks like the amount of time it takes to run these raids stays very low even if you don't have a repeat button. Now let's try the Impossible. For this one I'm going to need a bit of a different setup. I am definitely going to need a Bonito summon and I'm going to need at least 2 to 3 turns in order to secure the MVP. I will be using the same team I've used during the Guild War to farm for tokens, so 2 to 3 turns should be enough to get enough honors. That is already a lot more button pressing, but I really don't want to full auto this. And that's turn 1. Do I have some elevator music to put here? Okay, that's 2. Third turn, and I'm going to call for backup now. Hopefully there's going to be enough people to come and one-shot this. At this point I can probably leave the raid on full auto, it should be more than enough to guarantee the MVP. It's kind of weird that the Bonito vultures haven't started flocking in though. Oh, there's one. This boss should have died 20 seconds ago. Well, he probably did. Well, that took a while, but at least it's 96 tokens. I didn't run so many here, but the run times go between 2 minutes, 2 minutes 45 and 3 minutes, so I'm going to guess that's about the average. 2 minutes 45 for 23 clicks and 96 tokens. Over a 10-minute period, farming the extreme is going to grant me 872 tokens, compared to the 349 from MVPing my own impossibles and the 492 from farming the very hard. And all of this is without taking into account the nightmare spawn, which is going to give 100 tokens for just one click. So we're going to need a grand total of 40,500 tokens, and in order to get there, we're going to have to mix and match the very hard and the extreme runs. The issue here is that the very hard rate doesn't have a specific drop rate for the host materials, which comes out of 2 likely chests, as well as a reward from the red chest. So I'm going to need to run a few tests and see what's the average here. While doing so, I've also started to keep track of the nightmare spawns and the amount of tokens the nightmare gives, just so I can have an idea of how much the nightmare can save me during the actual grind. I've ended up running 23 runs, and it turns out that the amount of host materials you get can vary between 1 and 4, and it's averaging down to 2. During all 23 runs I also only got 2 nightmare spawns. So I guess that's about a 10% chance of having one spawning. And even though it might look very little, over the course of 400, 500 or 600 runs, it's actually going to matter. So we're going to need to run the very hard 3 times in order to run the extreme twice. 3 runs of the very hard are going to drop 69 tokens, while 2 runs of the extreme are going to drop 96. Combine the 2 of them and we get a result of 165, which is going to mean 1 run cycle, and the amount of cycles required in order to reach the 40,500 tokens is 245. This is still missing the nightmare procs though. Without them I would need to grind about 17,000 tokens from the very hard and over 25,000 from the EX alone, for a grand total of 736 very hard runs and 490 EX ones. And yeah, let's start working the nightmare spawns into this, cause 700 runs are a bit too many, and even at a 10% rate that's at least 70 nightmare spawns. And now to find out the nightmare spawn rate for the EX. Same as before, I've run it 20 times and it would seem that it procs quite often. In the end I've got 7 procs in 20 runs, which means it's a proc rate of 1 every 2.8 raids. If I actually run the extreme 490 times, this would be 171 spawns, each of which is going to drop 2 more spawn materials for a total of 344 and a grand total of 17,000 tokens. Now this is clearly wrong, and with this amount of grind you would be overshooting the 20 boxes by way too much. So I need to bring the amount of very hard and EX cycles down to something more precise. Now I'm sure somebody more well versed in math can actually find a formula that takes all the parameters into account and actually works it out, but me, I'm just going to link everything to the amount of runs and the run cycle, and I'm going to eyeball it from there, lowering the amount of cycles down until I get the result I want, which seems to be 155 cycles, for a total of 465 very hard runs and 310 extreme ones, with 46 nightmares spawning from the very hard and 108 spawning from the extremes. Time-wise, running the very hards is going to take about 13,000 seconds, while the extremes are going to take about 10,000 seconds, for a grand total of almost 7 hours. But again, this is with my horrible ping. So, in order to be safe and actually 20 bucks your event, all you're going to need are going to be 930 host materials. Again, I'm overshooting it a little bit just to be safe in case somebody gets unlucky with the nightmare spawns, but 930 host materials should be a very safe number to go with. Alright then, I guess that's going to be it from me for the moment. I really don't know if this was common knowledge, I've personally never seen it on the wiki or GameWith or well, around in general, but I wanted to figure out a better way to farm the event and actually not lose my patience 20 boxing. So, hope this was any useful to anybody who, like me, didn't know it, and I guess I'll see you guys soon. Ciao!